Hi everybody, welcome to the continuation of our Neil Young and Crazy Horse Ride to Glory review series. Today we're going to continue on with our look at the 1991 live project Weld. Um, Now, as I stated in the live broadcast earlier this week, we are going to just combine the video and the album review since they are so closely matched. In 1990, after the release of Ragged Glory, Neil and Crazy Horse, um, played two warm-up gigs at the Catalyst in Santa Cruz, and which became the live album Way Down in the Rust Bucket, which we reviewed in a previous video. And then in 1991, they went out on a full-scale 52-date tour across the United States. And during the Ragged Glory tour, the Gulf War was raging, and in some stops, Neil, throughout the tour, Neil had been playing the Jimi Hendrix version of the Star Spangled Banner over the PA before he came out, while the roadies were setting up, and the band's backdrop on the stage was a battered peace sign. And at some stops during the tour, Neil agreed to play a more conventional version of the Star Spangled Banner and take down the peace sign in in respect for what was going on in the Gulf during the Gulf War. And this tour, the Weld tour, the Weld tour, or the Ragged Glory tour, was one of the loudest tours that Neil had ever played up to that point. I mean, he was the sound was was very, very loud, and because there was just the band on stage right close to Neil's amplifiers, which were extraordinarily loud. And as a matter of fact, I read in one book that Neil's guitar tech, Larry Craig, had to take his earplugs out because he was in charge of maintaining the amps and guitars, and he had to take his earplugs out to hear what was going on, and as a result, it trashed his hearing. And another point is that the amps became overwhelmingly hot that Larry would have to have fans trained on them um, constantly so they wouldn't melt down or blow up because of the high velocity of the sound of Neil's playing. And as a result of this tour, Neil himself contracted hearing loss, which is no wonder because it was extraordinarily loud, and his hearing became hypersensitive. But anyway, um, so on to the record and the video. As I said in my review of Ark a couple days ago, this album was my first ever box set, I believe. It came in a 3 CD set with the with Ark as the third CD, and the first disc is has a color shot and of the band on stage, and the second disc has the same shot but in black and white on the front cover. And the cover of Ark, which is something that I forgot to mention the other day, is a shot of Neil, wailing away on Old Black, his guitar, and standing right in front of the amps, which is another point I'd like to make. The big amplifiers, if any of you have seen the Weld video, the big amplifiers are the same amplifier mock-ups that Neil had on the Rest Never Sleeps tour in 79, and inside those inside the cabinets where Neil had his own private PA system, but both the Weld video and the album open with Hey Hey My, which is a song that Neil would open with pretty constantly pretty regularly after this tour. And then this is one of the heaviest versions of Hey Hey My Into the Black that I've ever heard, or that I have, and it is tremendous. And and then they move on to something from Freedom, kind of the aborted electric version of Crime in the City, a la the not unlike the versions that Neil and the Reckless or the Lost Dogs, Neil and the Restless, and Neil and the Lost Dogs would do on the 88-89 tours, and because they would alternate between electric and acoustic versions. on the 88 and 89 tour, and the electric versions on the 88 tour and the 89 tour would often exceed, normal song length. Sometimes go on for 12, 16 minutes or whatever. But so this this version on Weld is really similar to one of those versions, except it doesn't go on quite as long. And then they continue on with a electric version of Blowing in the Wind. Dylan's Blowing in the Wind with just the band and Neil and his guitar singing. And sorry. But some of my favorites on this record, on the live record, include the version of Welfare Mothers from Rust Never Sleeps. Actually, I think it's it rocks a lot harder than the live Rust Never Sleeps version that's on the DVD, and that's on the Rust Never Sleeps DVD. But that's a review for another day. And then they start in with the Ragged Glory material. The only one of my Weld contains my favorite Weld contains one of my favorite versions of Love and Only Love of all time. This is even better than, dare I say, the Rust Bucket version. This version rocks so much harder than the Rust Bucket version. The Rust Bucket, one thing I would say about the Rust Bucket show is that, those shows were warm-up shows, so the band really was kind of feeling their way around the newly released Ragged Glory material. And by the time the Weld tour came along, they had the material well in hand, so so it rocked a lot harder. But like I said, the Weld version of Love and Only Love is my favorite version, and then some of the other Ragged Glory material that is featured on the record on Weld include Love to Burn, Mansion on the Hill, which is another favorite version of mine. I love that version, and a song that Neil wrote in 1989 called Effin' Up. I won't tell you what the actual word is, but you can probably figure it out. And which closes the first disc of Weld. The second disc opens with a track from Zuma, Cortez the Killer, which I think is a good way to open, which I think was a excellent choice to open the second disc with, because it's probably the quietest song on the record, even though it's electric. It's probably, like I said, the quietest song on the record and on the video, because, and I think that's why Neil opened the second disc with it, is because it gives him a chance to kind of relax and give the audience a break from the eardrum assault, or the eardrum shattering, and then comes one of my all-time favorite versions of Powderfinger. This is second only to the 84-85 country version by the International Harvesters. That is that and the Weld version are my all-time favorite versions of Powderfinger. And then like we've pretty much covered all of the Ragged Glory material. Let's see. And then on the second disc they do Rockin' in the Free World. And then comes, they do Farmer John on the second disc as well. And then comes my all-time favorite version of Hurricane, of Like a Hurricane. I love this version. This version rocks so hard it's not even funny. I just love it. And my only regret is that this version of Like a Hurricane is not on the Weld video. I would have loved to have seen it, and they, like I said, it rocks so hard. Just when you think it's over, they start in on the song again at the end of the song. And what I think is so cool is that they start out but anyway, it's so cool. I just love this version, and then they close with Tonight's the Night. A couple tunes from Tonight's the Night, Tonight's the Night, and Roll Another Number for the Road, which I think is a good closer. Now on to the video. The concert video is basically the same track listing, although I think from different cities. But the only songs I think that are missing are Hurricane, Like a Hurricane, and Like a Hurricane, and Farmer John, I think, are the only ones that are missing. And and one more thing, They also do a blistering. They also do a blistering version of Cinnamon Girl on the first half of the first set of the Weld package. And but on to the video. Like I said, the only performances I think that are missing from the video are Like a Hurricane and Farmer John. The oh yeah, and the rest of them, all the rest of the performances are there. But I remember I had been wanting this video so bad, and then years and years ago, I was able to get my hands on it, I think through Amazon. And I remember the only performance from the video that I had seen is the performance of Cinnamon Girl. I had seen it as part of a news story that they were doing on Neil on Nickelodeon, and they showed the performance of Cinnamon Girl in that news story. But I love this video. The difference between Weld and the Rust Never Sleeps video is that there is intercut with the Weld video, or intercut with the concert video, or intercut with the live performances, sorry. On the Weld video are audience shots of, metalheads, getting into it. And I just love this video. And I think before the versions of Powderfinger and maybe Cortez the Killer and Blowing in the Wind, there are shots of, because I know there before Cortez there is a shot of a seabird, and before Blowing in the Wind there's some war noises and stuff like that. But the package, the Weld video, the whole Weld package was produced by Neil, David Briggs, and Billy Talbot, the Crazy Horse bass player. And by the end of the whole Weld project, Neil's hearing would be shot because of like the high volume of the performances and plus the mixing of it. And but one more thing, this Weld was not only released on video, it was also released, the concert film was also released on Laserdisc, and unfortunately the Weld is not available on DVD or Blu-ray. I hope it is someday, and I hope Neil puts the performances of Hurricane and Farmer John puts those back in the concert video, because I'd love to see them. And The Weld live album, I think the whole Weld package was released on October 22nd of 1991, and the cover photos, I think, or at least the back cover photo of from the Weld pack, from the back cover photo on the CDs were taken by Larry Craig, Neil's guitar tech. And so overall, I give Weld about 1,000 stars. Enjoy the package. One more thing. Coming up Sunday, we will be continuing the series with our look at the Rag and Glory video EP.